Thomas, really? Are you playing this darn game again? Don't you have a
Mom,
project to do?
Mom, it is the Stanley Cup. It's the Stanley Cup.
The Stanley Cup was canceled this year.
Really? That's too soon. That's way too soon. Really. Good morning, COVID comrades, and welcome to the COVID Report. I'm your host, Tommy Galvin. It is day 55 of quarantine, and as you just saw, tensions are running high. Love you, Mom. That's gonna be fun later. In other news, I have no idea what day of the week it is, how to wake up before 3 in the afternoon, and in case you were wondering, yes, this is the first time I've worn pants in 2 weeks. In addition to that, we are filming this on a Lenovo Flex 14, so if we run into any technical errors, poor video quality, poor audio quality, he's really covering his bases here. Let's just roll with it, be team players. With that being out, let's hop right in. Though there are a plethora of more important topics to discuss, our main story today is sports. Now I know what you may be thinking. What sports? And you're right. The coronavirus pandemic has dealt the sports world a critical blow. Other than the NFL draft this past weekend and ESPN's newest documentary, The Last Dance, both of which set respective viewership records, the majority of the world has been without these enthralling performances for well over a month now. In times of crisis, we so often look to sports as a sign of hope and as a universal home where camaraderie can take its form. This year, however, just as the NBA and NHL playoff race was ramping up and March Madness was set to awe us once more, we were stripped of this great art form. Our only sport now is distinguishing whether our president is spewing fact or fiction. Do you think Lysol is an athletic superfood? Delightful. Politics aside, I am here today to inject some liveliness into this sector of society thought to be in slumber, even though the PGA Tour, CAF, Premier League, NBA, NHL, NFL, CBA, La Liga, MLS, and AFC have all suspended operations due to coronavirus-related threats. Sports are still indeed making an impact. In this age of social media, it is no surprise that athletes, amateur and pro, are finding a way to keep us all in the game as we stay inside and stay safe. Let's take a look at some COVID inspired social media challenges keeping us connected in this time of crisis. Nike has launched the Living Room Cup, a fitness challenge done by Nike sponsored athletes and you at home. Each week, a new challenge will be uploaded worldwide by a professional athlete to be beat by you. In week 1, Cristiano Ronaldo set the bar pretty high, doing 142 sit ups in 45 seconds. Good luck beating that one. Looks like one family is finding a way to keep that thrill of sports around. On TikTok, the Presley family has been doing what they like to call the hashtag Quarantine Olympics. Available in the 154 countries provided by the app TikTok, the events range from stair sledding to toilet paper bowling, offering that dramatic tension of sports we so love and a great idea for family night when we really need it most. Go check them out at Alex Presley on TikTok. They stream at 10 o'clock Eastern each night. The push-up challenge started simple. Get nominated, do 10 push-ups, and post online. However, professional athletes were here to show us there's a reason we're not all paid millions to wear tight pants and run in circles on Sunday TV. In what was an extraordinary display of strength, former Pittsburgh Steeler James Harrison literally put both his sons on his back as he completed the challenge. After only 13 reps, he jokingly turned to his wife and said, "How many they want me to do?" I think it's time to reevaluate my fitness plan. One of the most unique social media challenges I found this week was the hashtag in-house challenge. With relatively no rules around the trend, athletes from Pebble Beach, California to Bangalore, India, wow, have been able to show us their most insane skills. We had toilet paper juggling, toilet paper you know what? Basically anything with toilet paper in it. Check out my favorite clip of Instagrammer at Max Hilty holding out with a wedge on a basketball hoop with a soccer ball. The continent of Africa has launched a similar campaign, Call for Participation Sports Challenge Against COVID 19 in Africa. That's a mouthful. And a beautiful initiative that shows how we can not only remain connected but also progress in our respective sports in this time of crisis. Athletes are called upon to create a 1 minute video displaying their innovative skills in their respective sports. They will then post it on social media and tag 5 friends slash fellow athletes to motivate them to join the challenge. Terrific. As we adapt to staying connected virtually, we also learn to move our organized sports there as well. Esports have been on the rise for the better part of a decade now, but amidst the near absurd fanaticism that accompanies real world athletics, it has been hard, to say the least, for the industry to break through once and for all. The coronavirus pandemic has given them just that opportunity. With in person matches and games halted, this virtually based phenomenon has shown us that not only does the excitement slash anticipation of live competition have to be placed on hold, but also that the future could come sooner than anticipated. NASCAR was one of the first names to be heard of in terms of shifting to a virtual setting. With virtual racing simulators already being in stock, it is no surprise that NASCAR did not miss a beat in filling the void left by a current ban on in person races. The league has flirted with the idea of virtual racing since 2010, creating amateur series like the eNASCAR Coca Cola iRacing Series and then the eNASCAR Heat Pro League. However, for professional grade racing in the midst of the pandemic, NASCAR has revealed the eNASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational Series. They may want to work on shortening their names next. With names like Dale Earnhardt Jr. participating, the series is in its 7th week and streams Sundays on Fox Sports. Similar to NASCAR, Formula One, the global racing series with events from Bahrain to Monaco, has launched the F1 Esports Virtual Grand Prix Series, where drivers like Nicholas Hamilton of McLaren will race in fully immersive racing simulators to bring their international fan base the entertainment they need in a time like this. The first ever NBA 2K Players Tournament was launched from April 3rd to April 11th, with 16 of the NBA's best going head to head in the video game NBA 2K20. The Phoenix Suns' Devin Booker defeated teammate DeAndre Ayton in the final match, and as a result was awarded $100,000 to be given to a charity of his choice to aid in the coronavirus relief efforts. The games were streamed on all of the NBA's social media platforms, making it accessible globally. This was all in an effort to give some hope back to the fans. And, in addition, we got to see some great in game player reactions, showing that players are just as spirited as any actor. Normally, we would show you a clip of said players' reactions. However, after filming, Tommy realized he had neither the rights nor the know how to pull off such a maneuver. Please enjoy this colorful screen that almost certainly holds negative connotations instead. If interested in this clip, please search NBA 2K Players Tournament on YouTube. In what is perhaps the most universal sector of esports, video games like League of Legends or Call of Duty that have their own virtual leagues are going fully remote to adhere to COVID-19 health guidelines. These are leagues that have participants in all major continents other than Antarctica. They have been able to keep the ball rolling thus far with little to no technical difficulties. It also has given many in the esports gaming industry, like Ashton Muller, co founder and team manager of Goliath Gaming in South Africa, hope that this will give virtual gaming the notoriety needed to have a seat at the table with the major sports. I guess there is a little sunshine in this world after all. Now, on to the beautiful game. Although the US may not be overtly devastated by the postponement of most football leagues, the great majority of the world has had to find a new way to cope after losing an integral part of life. Here's how teams, players, and fans are staying connected and keeping positive from a distance. Similar to the NBA, the Premier League launched the E-Premier League from April 21st to the 25th. 16 of the league's best showed how well true football talent translates to virtual reality. Wolves' Diogo Jota proved victorious in a 2-1 match against Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold. Wolverhampton may trail Liverpool by 39 points in the standings, but it's hard to argue the bragging rights aren't in their favor at this point in time. FIFA has begun showing classic World Cup games based on fan votes in an attempt to keep fans occupied and engaged with the game during this hiatus. This is being done by leagues all over the world and is a superb way to not only pass the time, but also see how much athletics have evolved. Who knows? Perhaps Bafana Bafana and Sifawi Tajbalala's goal, excuse the pronunciation, will even make an appearance. In one of my more bizarre findings this week, Belarus and Burundi's football leagues have continued to play amidst growing threats from the COVID-19 pandemic. Belarusian President Alexander G. Lukashenko adamantly claims with no clear evidence that there is no virus in the country and has refused to put in restrictive measures to slow the spread as it ramps up around the world. Similar assumptions have fueled the continuation of play in Burundi. While clearly impediments to the global effort to fight the virus and likely not how we'd want to see football continue during this time, on the bright side, I now know one more country in Africa. As humans, we know that it is not the problem, but the response that defines us. In times when it feels like there is no hope left, often, that is when the light finally begins to shine. Athletes and teams around the globe have been a large source of that light as of late. And because of that, this week's top 5 countdown will be the top 5 ways athletes and teams are helping their communities and beyond in this time of need. Coming in at number 5, the MLB has donated $1 million to emergency food services, and in addition, each team has also pledged $1 million for ballpark workers during this sports hiatus. It is also working to aid minor leaguers, whose last paycheck came in August. Now that's a home run. Really? That was the best singer? That's what we came. Good. No, that's awesome. That's great. The NFL sits at number 4 on our list. Last week, during the annual NFL draft, the league decided to play their part in the fight against COVID-19 by hosting a draftathon that ran through the entirety of the event. Nearly $7 million was raised. I guess no Hail Mary will be needed this time. Damn it, Bill, what does that even mean? No, explain to me. I don't care that they're watching. What's going on? I'll wait. No, fine. At number 3, the 1982 Brazil national team is chipping in and doing their part during the pandemic. They came together once more to help raise nearly $500,000 in an effort to help congested favelas escape the grim effects of the coronavirus. Did someone say, "Go"? Did not see that one coming. Sitting at number 2 on our list for obvious reasons, the New England Patriots used their private planes to ship over 1,095 masks. This was in an effort to help combat the nation's current shortage of protective equipment. Now that's a Gronk spike if I've ever seen one. I'm sorry, that was written before the trade. We apologize to Patriots fans. And at number 1, the German club SC Sand, sitting 7th in the Women's Bundesliga table currently, showed how to really get their hands dirty as they harvested crops in an asparagus field in an effort to aid the shortage of foreign workers in the country's agricultural sector. Now that's asparagus. There are, of course, so many other names, teams, and leagues that I could have listed as we continue to show that it is not about what divides us, but instead what unites us in these times of darkness. Everyone has shown that there is a part to play in this effort to bring back the sun ASAP. But what have we learned when the sun does return from all of this? That's right, it's TG3's three big takeaways. Let's just jump right into these today. Over the course of the week, my team and I have been awe-inspired by how so many have come together while staying 6 feet apart to continue to make the beauty of sports a reality. Here's what we picked up on along the way: sports without borders. So much of the time, we are constricted to the sports in our region or within our nation's borders. While the internet has made it possible to stream, albeit often illegally, games and matches from outside of our respective areas, we are too often left to take in the same sports without even a question. However, with much of sports content being based in social media since the pandemic, and professional athletes and teams increasing their presence on such platforms to accommodate for the lack of in person sports, we have gotten to expand our horizons not only with who we are able to connect with, but also what we are able to learn from them. Living in a part of the world that truly does not place enough respect on the beautiful game of football, it was terrific to be able to see just how skilled and passionate the game's stars and up and comers are. Something that I never would have been able to experience if I wasn't stuck inside indefinitely. Breathe and step back. As we continue on through these uncharted waters, it can be easy to lose track of what we are working towards or to become engulfed in self pity. I know that I found myself at the beginning of this counting the negatives. No more Stanley Cup playoff push, no more rock climbing. That is why I have been so inspired by those that were able to breathe, to take a step back, to find ways to make the most of this time at home. Whether you are doing an Instagram challenge or catching up on the latest race in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, they need to shorten that. Just remember that you are taking part in something much bigger. You are finding the positives, helping and supporting all of us in making the most of this time inside. Collectively, we are breathing, retreating, reassessing. But out of all of it, producing light to navigate the storm. And last, but certainly not least, selflessness versus self-protection. So often in this world, we are taught to only think of ourselves. It's not unnatural. To be fair, we do spend all day with ourselves. However, in a capitalist society that feeds on competition and works on making everyone and everything a commodity, it can be very easy to forget that there are others around us. Others that are less fortunate, others that don't have the resources to fight these troubling times. That is why I wanted to make sure that one of these takeaways was on how, in a time when it was so easy to revert to our own cocoons, we have found the difference between selflessness and self protection. Self protection is not only innate, but necessary in these times of fear and uncertainty. You should be looking out for yourself and making sure that you are safe and well. Nevertheless, that does not mean that you should inherently be selfish. Athletes and sports organizations have been at the forefront of this. Though they are certainly more privileged and able to give than most, they have proven that it is not only about making it through this, but making it through together. Through charitable donations, food drives, acquisitions of protective gear, you name it, the athletic community has established that just because you are safe and sound does not mean the job is done. And that's all for this week on the COVID Report. I'm your host, Tommy Galvin, and we hope that you'll join us in the weeks to come. We know you're not going anywhere, and neither will we. Before we head out, I just wanted to make sure to give a big shout out and thank you to the nurses, doctors, restaurant owners, you name it, any essential worker that is proving what it means to be human in a time of crisis. We truly could not be doing this without you. Have a great day. Mom, you good?
Mom,
You playing that darn game again? It's
keep going.
no, we have to start it.
I'm just gonna keep rolling. You guys are gonna find something in here.
Okay, ready?
You guys are good.